Welcome to YDN Multimedia. I'm Caroline Pringle here today with Randy Fenoli, star of TLC's Say Yes to the Dress and author of It's All About the Dress. Welcome, Randy.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It's great having you. To start off, could you tell me a little bit about what inspired you to get into the fashion industry and how that ultimately led to having your own TV show and a book?
Oh wow, that's not a short answer. I was actually born and raised on a farm in southern Illinois, 163-acre farm, 100 head of cattle. I was the last of 7 kids, the last of 6 boys, and I hated cows, and I had no business being on a farm, and I did everything I could do to get out of the fields and away from baling hay and herding the cattle. So my mother, when I was 9 years old, actually purchased a sewing machine and put it in my room. She was a nurse at the time, but she decided she was going to sew clothes for us kids and make curtains and whatnot. Well, my mom could not put a hem in a terry cloth towel to save her life. So I would watch her very frustrated. I would be very frustrated in watching her try to sew. And it just made no sense to me why she couldn't, run a stitch down a straight line. So she went to work one day, and I got out one of her patterns and some of her good fabric. I was told not to touch her fabric or sewing machine, her good scissors, and made her a dress and ironed it and pressed it and hung it in the door frame, cleaned up everything. She came home from work that night and said, "Where did this dress came from?" And I'm like, "I made it." She put it on, it fit like a glove, and came home the next day with a skirt pattern and said, "Could you make me this skirt?" So that's kind of where my love for fashion began. And I guess being the last of 6 boys, I had a lot of hand-me-down clothes. So anytime I would get new clothes, it meant a lot for me. And a lot of people think that clothes are really frivolous. And I always am reminded of this episode, or this special that Oprah Winfrey did, where she took Christmas to the children of Africa. And she did all the research, as Oprah would, to see what every boy would want. And she decided every boy would want a soccer ball and every girl would want a black baby doll. And then she gave every child a uniform. And the gift they liked the most was the uniform. And they said because when they put it on, they no longer felt poor. So that, to me, really reinforces the power of clothing and how it can change the way you feel. And I know for myself, when I'm dressed nice, I feel good, and when I'm not, I don't. And I think, especially for a woman on one of the most important days of her life, that she wants to feel the most beautiful she's ever felt before, because she's walking down the aisle towards the man she loves more than anyone on the planet. So for her to feel beautiful, I think is really important. And I think that every human being should have that experience, no matter what size, shape, ethnicity, age, whatever. They should be able to feel beautiful, and that I can be a part of that, and a part of that moment really is what excites me about bridal the most, and fashion.
Great, that's very interesting. So were your parents supportive of your chosen career path then?
That's a good question. My father passed away when I was, probably in my early 20s. He was not a fan of anything I did. I came from a very abusive childhood from my father's. My father abused me pretty badly, which gave me a lot of strength, a lot of courage. Gave me a lot of ambition to get off the farm. It taught me what not to be when I grew up. My mother has always really pretty much supported me in everything I've done, because she knows that whenever I put my mind to something, that I'm going to do it, no matter what it is.
Right. What advice would you give students here who might be pursuing majors or careers that their parents aren't supportive of?
Oh gosh, do what you love, because your parents aren't the ones that have to live your life. And if you're happy doing what you're doing, you'll never work a day in your life. And you really have to enjoy what you're doing. And if you do, you're just going to dive into those books. And I remember when I was a student at FIT, I never slept. I would stay over at the dorms. At the classrooms until they would kick me out in the morning. Like 2:00 in the morning, they would close down, and then I would go back to the dorms and I would drape there and stay up all night because I loved it so much. And that's actually how I got into bridal. They had a contest that was for 4th semester to 8th semester students, and I was only in my 3rd semester. However, because I was so passionate and had a 4.0 grade point average, and they knew I loved evening wear so much at the time, that they allowed me to enter this contest. And I stayed home from the Christmas holidays, and we were supposed to do a mood board, and present a bridal design and a bridesmaid design. Well, I did 5 mood boards, 5 bridal designs, and 5 bridesmaids because I was the overachiever and because I loved it so much. And when the judges came in, they were supposed to choose the top 10. And they chose all 5 of mine to be in the top 10, not realizing it was the same student. So they had to go back and choose one of my 5 and then choose 4 others. And that actually, one of the judges was Vivian Desi Diamond, who owns Desi Creations, which is bridesmaids' dresses. And her husband, still, who at the time owned the Diamond Collection, which was bridal. And they called me on the payphone at the dorm and offered me a position designing 2 positions, one bridal and one bridesmaid. And I'm like, sure, why not? I had no clue. So I think that if you're passionate about what you're doing and you really love it, then you should pursue it and not listen to anybody and what anyone tells you, because you've got to listen to the voice that's inside your head and go with what's in your gut.
That's great advice. What are some of the challenges you face when trying to find a dress for a bride?
Oh gosh, the family. There's always challenges. You've got challenges of budget. You've got challenges of, you're limited to the dresses that you have in the salon. And, because dresses come and go season by season, sometimes a bride will come in and you're like, I've got the perfect dress. Oh, wait a minute. No, we just got rid of that dress because we got in a new one. We had to get rid of that. So I think besides that, and I think getting the bride through that fear of putting on that first dress, that's the toughest challenge, is just to get her in that first dress, because it's so hard to tell what a woman's body or anyone's body is really like until you get them in that first garment. Because most outfits we wear today are very loosely fitted and casual and, they're just easygoing, comfortable outfits. And a wedding gown is so fitted that that's when you really get to see what a person's body is shaped like. So getting them in that first dress is probably the toughest challenge.
Great. As an openly gay man, what's the dynamic of working in the wedding industry when there's not marriage equality throughout the country?
It's interesting that you say openly gay, because I don't know that I know that I am, but I am, I guess. I've never said that I wasn't. I've never denied it, so I guess I am openly gay. And how does that make me feel? I do feel that we're all human beings, and I believe that we all should be offered the same rights as anyone else, I think that any discrimination on any level is absurd. And I think what's really interesting is if you look back through history, and you look at one of the longest living civilizations ever were the Egyptians. I think they lasted like 3,000 years. And they knew, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that everything they put in these pyramids, they were going to get in the afterlife, because they knew they were coming back. They knew that so much that they built these huge pyramids. And to think that we have all the knowledge is just insane, and it's absurd. And I think that we all need to stand back and realize that we really don't know. And that we need to just recognize that I think we all are created equal, and we all are beautiful, and we all should be treated, with the same rights. And, no matter whether you're a woman in another country that doesn't get the rights, or a gay man who doesn't get to, celebrate marriage. Now, however, I do believe that you have to separate religion from politics, because if your religion does not believe that it is, right for a man and 2 men to get married, then that's what you believe. That's your religion. I support you in your belief. However, don't jump on me and for what I believe in. I think we all should be able to believe in what we think is right, because as the Egyptians proved, they were wrong. Or we don't know, maybe they were right, maybe we're wrong. Well, who knows? That's the thing. I think it's important to realize that we don't know and just accept that we don't know.
Right, I agree. A lot of people criticize reality TV as a genre, but what do you think are the merits of reality TV? Like, are there things you can learn that we can't learn from normal TV?
Well, I have to say I'm probably one of those that does criticize reality TV. I am not a huge fan of scripted reality television. I think that some of it does scrape bottom of the barrel, and I do think that it shows a lot of human beings in their worst light, and I think it's kind of promoting kind of the downfall of our society and who we are as human beings. So I'm actually very proud of the shows that I'm on, and will not be a part of any show that doesn't incorporate my 3 E's, which are educate, elevate, and empower, and in that order. Educate is number one, because with education comes all the answers to everything we ever need. We'd have all the cures for all the diseases. We'd know whether it's right for two men to get married, or we'd have all the answers. Elevate is because I believe that every human being has some kind of body image issue. So to elevate their self-confidence and make them feel good about themselves, and no matter what they are, because I feel that so many people are discriminated against because, they're not what society sees as perfection. And the third E is empower. And if I can walk away, or a person walk away from watching my show and feel empowered, then that makes me happy, because that's the way they should feel. So I do feel that there is some good in reality TV, and I'm glad to be a part of that, which I do think is good. And I think that what makes so many people addicted to Say Yes to the Dress is not that it's a dress show. It's not about that. It's really about the family dynamics. And I think that we all can relate to somebody in that family. We all know that mother, or that jealous sister, or, the doting grandmother, or, the father who's losing his little daughter to this guy that she's going to be marrying. So I think that we all can kind of relate to that situation. And the other thing I'm really proud of is that the shows that I'm a part of are not scripted, that I actually don't get to really interact with that bride until the cameras are rolling. So what you see really does happen, and it's true reality. It's not forced. We don't pay those people to be on the show. So what you see really does happen, and I think that is a better representation of reality TV than when you see that people are paid to be on a show to behave or misbehave to get good ratings.
Right. Where do you see your career going from here? Is fashion still your focus, or is it television or writing now?
Conquering the world, I think, would be. I actually, and I say that lightly, but I don't really believe it so lightly. I would like to be an influencer, and someone like Oprah Winfrey, who I believe makes most of her decisions to better human beings, and the planet. And I think that she is someone who, probably one of the few people that I really look up to, because I believe that she really has taken her career and used it as a platform to do good things. And that's really the only reason why I'm where I'm at today, is because I want to be in a position to have the Q factor, that they call it, to be able to influence the world to be a better place, and to hopefully help out charities. And, especially because a lot of people don't know this about me, but I was living in New York City during 9/11. I was on vacation in St. Martin. There was a hurricane. I was in Acapulco. There was a hurricane. I was in Puerto Vallarta. There was a hurricane. I lived in New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina. I've been here during Hurricane Sandy. So I understand when somebody's going through really tragic events. And because of my childhood that I survived, I think that, if I can go back and give back, then I've accomplished what I want to accomplish, that I have made the world a better place. And if we can all do that, then, the world will be a better place.
Great. Sounds like a good plan to me.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us
That's
today.
it?
Pretty much.
That was so easy.
It was really great hearing your story, though. This has been Caroline Pringle reporting for YDN Multimedia.